Welcome, Egg Foo. What the first and only podcast about people eating stuff. I'm Mike Lisk.
Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to another episode of Echo. I'm Greg Wilson. Young Mike, I think I speak for everybody. We're glad to hear your voice and offer our condolences. You had a rough stretch here, so we're glad to hear your voice.
Thank you, Greg. Yeah, what a difference a week makes. Last week was the wake for my father, who passed away the previous weekend peacefully at home. He was watching the NCAA. He fell asleep, and then he passed away, which to me, I couldn't ask for a better way to pass on.
That is the dream.
Yeah, I mean, I almost prayed. It sounds terrible, maybe, but other people said, they talked to me later and they said, well, it must be a bit of a relief, and they would apologize first. And I said, no, that's natural. That's their natural response. I mean, you can't avoid that. The last 2 weeks of my father's life was not easy on anybody. It was difficult. He was not eating or drinking, and that became just, my daily struggle to get him to eat, drink, to get out of bed. He was sleeping quite a bit. And I've talked to other people who've had relatives went through a similar situation. I mean, I've never been through anything like that before, so I didn't know what was going on. It felt like a crisis coming on. I was fortunate, as I said, I didn't have to get him to the hospital or anything. There weren't any falls. So a neighbor used, we talked about cliches that people use at the time of death. And a neighbor said it was time. And yeah, that's a good one. My father was 89 years old, and his life was not going to improve. He had dementia for over 2 years, which talking to other people, it seems to happen quite a bit. So I think a lot of people can relate to that. I've heard stories that were really difficult with adults dealing with their parents with dementia and some of the things. I mean, I was relatively lucky as far as there were incidents where he would wander. There were a couple incidents he did get outside and take a fall. Fortunately, I had good neighbors. He just went across the street. My neighbors have been living there pretty much the whole time we've been living here. And they knew what the situation was and they helped him. So I had to get like an interior lock that he couldn't figure out to open. Because he did one of the things, and they say this is quite common, is that he wanted to go home all the time, even though he was in his house. But that's apparently another common thing that people with dementia go through. In fact, 2 weeks ago when we were doing the show, in the middle of the show, he was at the door. He wanted to go home. So not a lot of people know that when I'm doing this show, I usually have one earphone open. So I'm listening to him. He's upstairs, not far away. And I could hear what he's saying if he's calling down to me. So I'm trying to have a conversation with you and also listening to my father, what's going on up there. So, yeah, so that happened, and his suffering is over. That's the way I look at it. He's at peace finally. I don't know how you feel about wakes. I mean, when I was young, I hated them. The first wake I went to was for my grandfather on my father's side. I was not even a teenager. So it seemed morbid to me, particularly with the open casket. What were your first experiences with the wake? How'd you feel about an open casket, closed casket?
Yeah, I remember my first wake clear as a bell. I think I was 11. Is my grandfather. And he died just in that perfect way. He's like 76, goes to sit on the couch and just peacefully dies.
Mm-hmm.
At age, grandfathers back then peacefully died.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was an open casket, because it was nothing and nothing strange. And I just remember everybody, to what you were saying earlier, every older person said the same thing. Oh, at least he went to sleep. And I'm not joking. And this is up in Boston, like hardcore Catholics, not like where I grew up. And I distinctly remember hearing them say things like, "Boy, I hope that's me. I'm jealous. I hope that's how I go." And it's like, wow, when you're 11, that's an insane thing to think.
Yeah.
But now you're like, well, if you have to die, that's probably the best way to do it. So yeah, it was strange. And then I've always, I don't remember if I don't even know if it's apocryphal now, but it's the old joke. Oh, since it's an Irish wake, a whiskey bottle makes an appearance, and then the second the priest actually walks in, everybody leaves. One of those things. But yeah, it was as vanilla, standard. This is a grandfather's wake. Here it is. That a gazillion people go through.
You didn't hear the
that
weirdest
was,
thing. The weirdest thing I heard in my first wake where people kept commenting on how good he looks.
yeah.
That was a thing. I think it's like you wanted to either compliment or criticize the funeral director's makeup decisions. I mean, I have seen bad open caskets where it didn't even look like how I remembered the person. We decided on a closed casket for my father because he was very underweight. I didn't want people to remember him, at that part of his life. And it just didn't feel right, So we put it. We
I
put
think
a.
that makes sense to me. Yeah.
We put some pictures up and had like a nice picture of him on the casket. And everything went smoothly. The thing is, I've noticed. I don't know if you've noticed this. The wake is the most popular. With my father, he was going to be buried in a plot that he bought when my brother David died in '88. He bought a plot for my mother, himself, and my brother. So for the three of them. So that had already been arranged. So it was going to be a burial. It wasn't going to be a cremation. So yeah, we had a pretty good turnout at the wake. I guess the priests don't make an appearance. They've got deacons now.
Really?
Yeah, deacons. They've got a shortage with priests now. So a deacon came. I didn't get a chance to speak to. My father was very active in. My father was very active in the community. He was involved with. He was on the advisory board for the recreation committee. I learned some stuff that I didn't even know because I knew my father was. He could be confrontational with people.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I have to say, because I didn't really know a lot about your father, your dad.
Yeah.
And I was reading his obituary, and yeah, I feel like a jerk now saying I felt surprised, but I was like, wow, because yeah, he was, really out and about in the community doing all that kind of stuff. I was really impressed. It really, I think it made me a little happy. I was like, wow, that sounds like a really great, he had a great run, a great way to do things. So sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, no. And here's the weird thing. I knew he was active in these things, but I tended to not want to know because I was afraid that I would hear stories, that he was getting into arguments with people. And actually one of the comments somebody wrote, did you see the one where somebody said he was he was the bane of many a mayor. I'm like, oh
I
brother.
did see that. I did see that.
And you know, that was my suspicion. That was why I didn't really want to know the details. But here's the
Mhm.
thing. Now, after he passed and people came forward and said
Yep.
these nice things about him, I'm like, oh, that's great. You know, I mean, I didn't know about the park. He
Mhm.
was involved in this park that was created. I just watched this movie, Living, which is actually a remake of a Japanese movie, Aikiru, which is a great movie. And it's about a bureaucrat, you know, who sort of lived a boring life. And then he gets a death sentence. He's terminally ill. He's got like 6 months or something.
Mhm.
And then he starts to live. And one of the things he does is that he builds a park. Here's the thing: my father didn't need a death sentence.
Yeah.
He just did it, you know. And I was very proud. I was very proud to see some of the things people said,
Mhm.
how active he was, particularly that bit about the park. And he created. I didn't know. Somebody said he created something called the House Sports Federation,
Right.
and you know, I didn't know that. He was very active with something called Howl Day. And this would be like a community, usually like around 4th of July. There'd be fireworks and food trucks type of thing, maybe music. Sometimes I think he was even booking bands for
Whoa.
Howl Day. Yeah.
Jeez.
You know, that would be like the one time he'd ask for my input, you know, on like music for, you know, these
Yeah.
bands. I think he was put in charge of like booking a band one year.
Oh.
So I remember the Howl Day stuff.
Right.
But a lot of times he was just on the phone all the time. And it could drive you nuts because, you know, this is a small house.
Mhm.
And if he's on the phone, you hear it pretty much all over the
Was he
house.
calling them mayors the whole time? Is
Oh, he
that?
was calling vendors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he would call 'em, mayors. And I mean, I saw a woman's name, Helene. I saw that name. I'm like, oh boy, I heard about Helene all the time in the house. You know, the name was always going on. Must have been like one of his co-conspirators or something.
Uh,
You know, she wrote a nice comment actually.
what?
So
Yeah. Or his rival, like they went head to head over the years, but garnered a respect for each other in the end.
possibly,
Like the bird, they were the bird and magic of Howl, maybe.
maybe.
I don't know.
But so yeah, that I was actually proud to see some of that stuff that I didn't even know, you know. And the thing is, I thought they were going to be there, and I'm looking around for them. My brother said they were there, which I would have, which was too bad because I didn't see them. I would have liked to talk more to them.
Mhm.
I sent them emails, but I don't think they've responded. So anyway, the wake was fine. It went smoothly. Um, then the following day we have the mass, and I haven't been in. This is the Catholic church I grew up in, and I haven't been there in a long time. I thought the walls were going to fall down when I walked in,
Huh.
and so the mass was sparsely populated. You know, this is what I'm saying. Like people prefer to go to the wake, and
Right.
then the mass is less populated, and the least populated is the cemetery, the burial. So at the
Mhm.
mass, you know, my father went to mass every week up until 2 weeks before he died. You know,
Wow.
yeah, my sister was taking him. You know, he didn't have any mobility. You know, he was getting a little. It was getting a little more difficult. I mean, we had walkers for him, and
Mhm.
sometimes he would use it, but mostly he kind of leaned on my sister.
Mhm.
He wouldn't even take a cane. We gave him a cane just to help him. You know, but yeah, I mean, he was going to church every week, up until 2 weeks before he passed away.
Mhm.
So you know, the priest who said the funeral mass knew my father, you know, for 2 years,
Mhm.
and he gets to the homily part of the mass, and he's plagiarizing what I wrote on the website.
Oh,
I wrote that little obituary,
geez.
right? And he's just reading it, you know, and I'm
And
like,
you
what?
said he knew your father,
Oh
right? It seemed like
yeah,
he
for
was
2 years. I mean, the priest
yeah.
has only been there for 2 years, but
Mhm.
my father's going every week. You know, he's had some interaction with this priest, you know, and so he's reading and then he reads it wrong. He omitted my brother Matthew,
Um,
and like the first thing I said after the mass, I said, Matt, you didn't make the cut.
yikes.
And Matthew actually went up to the priest, and he's laughing at it. He said, "Hey, I was his son. Matthew, you omitted me." So yeah,
What if the priest looked at him and said, I knew what I was doing, and just walked away?
I don't know.
That would have been a shiver down the spine.
So he starts off plagiarizing me, and then he has one anecdote. After knowing my father for 2 years, he's got one anecdote. And his anecdote is that he couldn't remember my father's last name.
That's a great one.
That's what I said. I'm like, in all the interaction for 2 years you've had with my father, this is how you're going to remember him, as the guy I thought his last name was Lusk instead of Lisk.
Dynamite.
So yeah, this was not an impressive performance. But then it got weirder, Greg. The consecration of the Eucharist. You're familiar with the Catholic Mass, right?
Familiar.
And the it's the consecration of the Eucharist, and this priest did something I've never seen. All the masses I've gone to in my life.
Mhm.
Have you ever heard a priest attempt to do the voice of Jesus Christ?
I didn't know we knew what that voice was.
Well,
Is it British? Is it a British accent?
that is my take.
Romans?
That is my take, and I would think that it would be almost blasphemous to try and do a voice. But that's exactly what he did. He's doing the consecration, and he gets to the part where Jesus speaks. And he does a voice. He goes,
Let's hear the voice.
"Take, eat. This is my body, which is given for you.
Oh my God.
Do this in remembrance of me." So he's doing this wimpy, weird voice. I'm like, what is going on?
What's his normal voice? Like, let's have a demo of a couple words of his normal voice.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't quite a dramatic shift, but it was definitely
it was definitely a shift.
Yeah, it was a shift.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is he doing what I think he's doing? He's doing a voice. I mean, is that something like happens in audiobooks? I don't listen to a lot of audiobooks. Do a lot of narrators do that? I'm thinking, like, is this something he picked up from audiobooks, where they'll do a voice?
Listen to an audio book, but now that I'm thinking about it, if I was to do one, I probably would break into a voice. But then again, that would just be me reading a book. It wouldn't be me, a priest anointed by God, to conduct a funeral.
Mm-hmm.
It seems weirder there.
Yeah. So that was strange. I did learn something. I was part of the pallbearers, and they make it easier now. They don't. You're not actually carrying the casket. It's on wheels, and you're basically pushing up a ramp and getting it in the church. But the funeral director said at one point, we're going to go feet first. Did you know that was a thing?
Not really. Yeah.
No. And then, of course, I'm curious afterwards, and I'm Googling, why does the casket go feet first?
When you're loading it into the car, the hearse?
No, in the hearse.
Or you mean like going up to into
the church? Yeah.
Okay.
Into the church, it's feet first.
So it means he's facing the altar.
So yeah,
Okay.
and I guess the explanation is that if it falls, well, it's lighter in the front, and if there's a fall, or somebody drops it or whatever, I guess it's easier for people to control the casket. And one of the explanations is that for health reasons, and I'm thinking, like, well, what's the health reasons? And I guess nobody wants a body falling out on the floor.
Not good.
That was
well, the last time I was a pallbearer almost 10 years ago.
Mhm.
And yeah, we were carrying it, about to go out the door, and it had been an ice storm. We go to step outside. I look down at the steps, and it was just a sheet of ice. And
Oh
I couldn't
boy.
help but kind of like, I wouldn't say I was laughing, but I was like,
Mhm.
I think something terrible is about to happen.
Mm.
But of course, we nailed it, and no
Okay.
problem.
Um, so yeah, I did learn a little bit there, and then, then we proceeded to the burial, and pretty much, it was just a family at the cemetery. And there's a weird last couple funerals I've been to. I don't know if you've witnessed this, where you get this weird dynamic between the grave diggers who are just standing around. They're not far away.
Mhm.
And they're like, they're just on a job, right? This is their job.
Mhm.
So it doesn't mean anything to them. It's like they're kind of
Right.
shooting the shit. It's just like
Yeah, yeah.
waiting to get in there. We're just holding them up. It's a weird
Mhm.
dynamic.
Yeah.
I get it. It's a just a job to them, but do they have to be like right next to us while it's going on? Can you can
Yeah,
you can you go hang out at at the shed for a little bit
yeah,
until it's over?
yeah. We'll let you know when it's over, fellas.
Yeah, we're
Trust
not
us.
going to hold you up. And
Yeah.
actually, there's a difference at the casket. I mean, the last funeral I went to, it was a Jewish funeral, and they did something which I kind of like with at the gravesite. The mourners sort of uh, throw dirt into the grave.
Mhm.
The casket's in the ground, and the mourners come by each person, and you could use a shovel. They have little shovels there. Unfortunately, when I went to that funeral, it had been raining like several days before, and one of the most haunting sounds I've ever heard in my life was as people are throwing in the dirt. I'm hearing splashes, and it was cold too.
Mhm.
It was just like sort of just that juxtaposition of, you know, this is where the body is now in a cold, wet ground. I mean, it
Yeah.
was it was kind of like very sort of splash of cold water in your face. We had a beautiful day. Um, and actually now what they do, you have the option. They give you the option to stand there and watch the casket be lowered because it's on that conveyor belt thing.
Mhm.
Um, and that thing's complicated.
I've never really understood that. Like, how do they get the straps out from under the casket once it's sitting?
Yeah, it's
Uh,
a
I mean, obviously they've got it all figured out, but I'm just,
yeah. I mean, are they still called grave diggers, or is it whole engineer? Or I mean, there is some engineering work going on with those straps, as you said.
yeah.
We opted not to stick around for that, and I thought that was a good decision because yeah, what if something does go wrong?
Yeah.
And then those guys that are laughing and joking are going to have to come over and get involved, and it's going to be kind of a disaster. I'd rather not see that at the
Yeah.
end. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want to see some sort of technical difficulty with the lowering of the casket.
Yeah.
So,
Because
but
something's got to go wrong at some time, nobody wants to see it.
yeah, yeah. So, we went to a restaurant afterwards. I think, the repast. Is the repast big where you are?
It's always, yeah, I think anytime I think I've been to a funeral, it's usually a meal afterwards. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, my Aunt Pat's, which was 2014, it was the week before Thanksgiving. And after we leave this, like, hey, after the cemetery come back, we got a spread laid out for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you go in week before Thanksgiving, walk in, and what do they have there to eat? Turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, gravy. I
Wow.
was like,
Okay.
all right.
All right. Yeah.
But yeah, there's usually I think there's always a
Do you think it
meal.
was their Thanksgiving? They just moved it up? I mean, did they prepare the food themselves, or was it from a catering service?
I think it was catered.
Oh, really?
It's Lowell, Massachusetts, so I think it's
Uh-huh.
a lot of lack of imagination with food. So
Uh-huh. I mean, it was just my family. I didn't know if some people wanted to go to do that. I mean, in North Jersey, I think it's a big deal.
yes,
But
yeah, I would think that like Massachusetts, Jersey, that's more of a thing in general. Yeah,
I think there's just more moochers up there. I think
we can
some
call them
people,
moochers. Okay,
it's like,
mourners, family members grieving,
you
moochers.
know, but so I didn't know what the turnout was gonna be. So I didn't, the place we went to, they had package deals and stuff. I'm like, well, let's just order from the menu,
Mhm.
let's not complicate this thing anymore. And it was a good call because yeah, it was just our family that went, and it was relatively early. Um, the place we went to was just opening up for lunch, so it was like an early lunch hour. I don't even think it was noon. Um, and that was fine. I mean, we sat down and,
What kind
you
of food
know,
was it? Was it like family Italian kind of thing? Or?
oh, this is like a sort of a step up from my usual place. It's actually the same owners.
Mhm.
But they have a better menu. It's just like pub food, burgers,
Mhm.
but they
Yeah,
have, Italian dishes, pasta and stuff like that.
that's what you want after a thing like that. You want comfort food. You want something, something like
Yeah.
that.
Um, I had to do like more hands-on planning the funeral and everything. And I don't know if you're aware of the funeral rule. You know what the funeral rule is?
Only dead people? I don't know. What's the funeral?
No,
Sorry,
it's
sorry.
a funeral home has to itemize everything
Mhm.
in the cost. I mean, the costs are through the roof.
Yeah, it
Um,
is a bit. It is a bit like a wedding where this costs don't even matter because they know you're kind of grieving and can't even think straight. So it is a bit of a thing. But anyway, I don't want to
yeah,
editorialize about the industry.
and actually, for my brother Robert, I mean, we actually sat down with a woman and we went through what we wanted. But this time, I'm doing this all via email, which felt awkward, and there's a
Mhm.
couple emails where he misunderstood what I said, and so anyway, I get this itemized list, and they've got music, $250. And I'm
Mhm.
like, what is that? I know this funeral parlor. I mean, this is the fourth funeral I've been there with my family. And they have like a PA. And I know the first time they were playing like funeral music, just sort of like not even like classical music, but just sort of annoying, mournful music.
And that was the music they made you pay for?
Well, that's what I thought it was,
Mhm.
and I said, I think again via email, so there was not good communication. I said, I didn't want to pay. I didn't want to pay for music. I didn't want music.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, then later, and I had already written a check out to him minus. He said, "Oh, just deduct it from the bill." So I did that, and I brought the check down to him. And then maybe the next day, he tells me, "Oh, that music is for the church." The organist, and it's mandatory. I'm like, wow, okay, that's a pretty good gig. Does she get that herself, or is it just goes to the church? $250 for an organist.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
When you say rule, is there a law that they have to break everything
Oh
down?
yeah, yeah. That's a
The
law.
law. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and I think it's for every state.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just a Jersey thing.
Mhm.
I think it is. I think they call it the funeral rule.
Mhm.
Um. So yeah, there was confusion about the music. Then I'm thinking, I've been to wakes where people do play music, the favorite music of the person who passed away. And, I'm thinking of like, oh, what would I include in a death playlist, right?
There you go.
But I'm thinking, I mean, recently, uh, it- you know, on Letter to You, Bruce Springsteen had a bunch of songs about mortality.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and, 1 minute you're here, I'll see you in my dreams. He should have that record could have been good if he just kind of made it thematic, like Leonard Cohen did his Death album, and
Just make the whole
David
thing.
Bowie. He should have went all in
Yeah.
on this. Is not saying that he's going to die soon, but he's getting to the age where he's got to think about that, right?
Yeah.
I think that would have been a better record if he wasn't throwing these oldies that he had just laying.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe leave Mary Queen of Arkansas or whatever for the next one.
Yeah, the one about the priest, and
Yeah.
everybody was supposed to be excited for that song finally appearing on a record. I'm like, what?
Ugh.
That's what you were waiting for?
Yeah.
One of those
Yeah,
wordy.
I think you're probably right. If he had kept it a tight thematic thing, that would have been way more interesting, at least.
And I'm looking at his playlist, and he's playing those songs.
Oh yeah.
He knows what the good songs were.
He's been itching for 2 years to play those songs.
Yeah. So, do you have any songs that you would consider for a death playlist?
For my own funeral?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I think
You've
I've
given this
mentioned
some
many
thought.
times, I put way more thought into my funeral than my life, unfortunately. I would have to say the overall theme, the number one song, if I had to pick a theme, would be Days, the Kinks.
Okay, that's a great song.
Beautiful song.
Yeah.
Says everything you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing. Thank you for the days. Blah, 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 blah. That's a good one, right?
Yeah, classic.
1 for 1. And then let's get a little haunting, a little sad. Many rivers to cross.
Okay.
If
Another
you like
great one.
religion,
Mhm.
you can say, oh, Greg's going to the other side. Good, great, thank you. Just haunting track, beautiful. Then I want to turn it to a little more upbeat. Can I turn it up a little bit, Mike?
Yeah, why not?
A little more upbeat and a little more about friendships, something less spiritual, more friendships. Gotta go Bobby Jean, speaking of the boss.
Okay.
And then I want to have a Marat song. And I think the lost Marat classic that would be apropos is Float Away with the Friday Night Gods, Leaving.
Okay.
Beautiful song. You can do the album version, acoustic version, beautiful song, says it all.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got to have a little humor.
Okay.
And it can't all be a.
Yeah,
well,
no, that's Greg. You got to have a few laughs.
Well, through your tears. Keep in mind.
Through your
Keep
tears.
in mind,
Yeah.
I do want everybody sobbing uncontrollably.
The laugh cry.
If by now everybody's probably cried out, there might not be any more water. So let's get it kicked up a little bit with Glad to See You Go. Little tongue in cheek.
Mm-hmm. That was on your other playlist.
Everybody will look at my casket and go, "Oh, that's so Greg," and then get back to bawling their eyeballs out. And then I got 3 more. We're gonna give a shout out to our old friend Will Croxton. His band DT and the Shakes, last one out. Seems that last one out to heaven, even.
Okay.
So
all right.
seems that for a pro.
Very loyal to Will.
That'll get some more waterworks going. And then, of course, as I've said 1,000 times before, the big closer song. As they speaking of lowering the box into the ground, that's going to be To Many Rivers Across. But then, as everybody's about to start walking away, my casket miraculously starts rising up again to the tune of Sugar, Sugar. And that repeats a couple times as the song goes on. And then, of course, we close it out with Hey Jude, where everybody just does the ending until everybody just collapses in the heap. You don't know where your tears and so-and-so's tears end and begin. It's just, and then, go out on Hey Jude. So
who's gonna execute this sort of the casket popping back up?
That's my buddy Dave.
Dave's in charge of that.
Dave. Not Waddy, Dave B.
Dave B. Okay.
Yeah, he's got my notes on that.
Okay.
How to orchestrate that. And also, as the sun is setting, as everybody starts to walk away over a hill, you'll start to hear a sound. and it's getting a little closer. You're not sure what it is. You're like, what is it? And then all of a sudden you start hearing, you're like, oh, I think that's a tuba. As the sun meets the hill, you see a tuba coming over the hill, and it's Ope, and he's playing the tuba like dun 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 dun,
Okay.
dun, with one tear down his eye, and he just walks through the crowd straight through, and everybody just watches. And then he walks like up and down another hill, and he's gone, and then boom, that's the end of service.
Now
Everybody will be handed their notes on what their duties will be during my.
Does Ope have to learn to play a tuba though?
Well, he's got a couple of weeks, so he'll be no, he'll be.
He's gonna have to get a rental.
No, he'll. It doesn't have to be good.
Okay. Oh, I see.
Just noisy.
You don't want a true New Orleans parade or anything like that.
I mean, look, if he can do it, he can do it. But mostly, I want him to focus on the crying his eyes out. Yeah, I want him to focus just purely on the grief, like everyone else, and then scurry back down the hill and come up as the sunset is perfectly timed.
Now, is somebody, the music is going to follow you to the cemetery? I mean, is somebody going to have to bring a boombox?
Well, no, because this will be not in 1984. So, there'll be a phone and like a little speaker.
Oh, the sound is terrible on those things.
Well, no, you'll have a Sonos speaker or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Or, yeah, a couple of those.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, right. by the year 2074, who knows what kind of technology you're going to have. But
well, I still have a boombox, and I'm willing to, use CDs or tapes. I could do a mixtape. I still have a cassette player, an active cassette player.
That would be weird. How trippy is that to make a mixtape that is for yourself? Like, I just kind of had fun with this playlist, and I mean it. But actually sitting down and crafting a mixtape, that seems next level. Like, okay, this is serious. But I don't think the actual playing of them will be. Now, do you have your playlist? Do you have a playlist?
No, I just, I spent a couple of days up at the local establishment, and I played those couple Springsteen songs I mentioned. And here's the thing, I noticed, I wanted to thank you for the wine and cheese basket you sent me, and the cookies you sent me, the grief packages. I appreciate that.
I'm going to need some money back for those, Mike, if you don't mind.
Okay. Oh, wait a second. That was Tom Sharpling sent me those.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, right. He knows what to do.
Aish.
When somebody who you do a podcast with, when their father dies.
Mike, we're going off script. Mike.
I mean, I kept looking out there. Where's that truck coming from? I know Greg ordered me a nice fruit basket with some jellies.
It's called class, and it sounds like Tom Sharpling has it, and I do not, and I apologize.
That's okay. You can remedy the situation anytime.
The second this is over, I'm gonna order the biggest fruit basket I can find and send it to you.
Well, the reason I'm saying is that I think that's become less popular. I ended up, it just so happens, like I said, I went up to my local establishment after the wake with a few people, and people are buying me drinks. I went up after the funeral that night. Somebody bought me paid my tab. So I ended up getting some free food after all.
People do love bringing food when there's a death. To the point that usually most of it gets thrown away, but I think people feel good doing it. So
yeah, it's something people do.
What else are you really gonna do? What else can you do?
Right. No, I think all of this stuff, it's socially awkward, but it does relieve some of the stress for people. It's just traditional things they do. In my instance, I didn't get a lot of food coming in, but people were buying me drinks and food, so it turned out for the good anyway.
I thought of something after you told me, and of course, I want to say something, and the first thing you always want to say is there anything I can do?
Yeah.
But I just heard, Rob Delaney, the
Yeah.
comedian.
Yeah.
He had a tragedy and it's awful,
And he's got a
and
book out,
he's
right?
yes,
I haven't read the book.
and he said one thing he wishes people would just stop doing is saying that, and usually it doesn't mean anything, people, but then it's like you're giving the person who's grieving, oh, now I have a project, I have to come up with something for Mike to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he said that he doesn't like when people do that, and people should not do that.
Yeah. See, I just let people do whatever they want.
Mhm. But
Everybody's
it
gonna.
is a strange thing to ask that. And
Yeah,
I
it
know
is.
I've done it probably every time I've approached somebody who just had a death. Hey, is there
Mhm.
something I can do?
Mhm.
And I mean it, but I know there's nothing I can do, and the person knows there's nothing I can do. But for me to even have to ask that, it does sound strange when you say it out loud, even
It's
though it happens all the time.
yeah, it's just one of the many cliches around death,
Right? He's
you
in a
know.
better place. Blah blah
Like I
blah.
said, I heard it's not a new one, but it was his time is a good one,
Yeah.
which is you keep that one in your pocket for somebody who's terminally ill,
Mhm.
somebody who's approaching 90, like my father, had a
Mhm.
good long life, but don't use that for a young person's death,
Right.
You got to be selective. So, I say let people say whatever they want. If they reach for these cliches, if
Yeah.
they don't know what to say. That's what
Right.
it comes down to. And actually, I remember because it was a shock when my brother David died. He was only 23 years old. He died in a car accident, and that was a shock. That really, you know,
Mhm.
people.
Right.
I remember one of the vendors that I used. I was working at a publishing company in New York, and this poor guy, he's coming up to me, and he's literally saying, "I don't know what to say," and he kept
Yeah.
saying it, and I'm like, okay, and I'm like, well, okay, that's everybody, right?
Mhm.
I
It
don't
is. It is
I don't know what
almost.
to say in those circumstances
Yeah.
either.
It is almost the right thing to say. Like, let's just acknowledge that nobody knows the right thing to say, and we're all just trying to say the right thing because we care.
Right.
I think that's probably the most honest thing to say.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's why, I'll never I just assume some people are going to say awkward things,
Mhm.
and I just let it go. It's like,
Yeah. Well, I'm the worst because not only do I not know what to say, but when I get nervous, then I can't help but try to be funny.
mhm,
And obviously that's going to fucking make it worse.
mhm,
So I have to really try to control myself. And then, yeah, I just try to say something, the least stupid thing I can, and scurry off as quickly as possible.
mhm.
But then it's also like, who do I think I am? Like, there's anything I'm going to say that's going to, then there's like, who do I think I am? But, these are the things you think about when, and it's never the right thing to say. So,
Actually, yeah, I mean, humor is an interesting thing because sometimes people react, laughter is like
mhm,
an unnatural, but people react that way.
mhm,
And at the wake, I saw one of my neighbors, and she told me about when her mother died, and my mother was at the cemetery, and she was good friends with this woman, and they were always joking around and stuff. And I guess she knew that the woman who passed away, she didn't like roses for whatever reason. And
mhm.
and one of the things they do at the cemetery, they give you the rose, right? And apparently my mother um, kind of threw the rose in and said, "I'm sorry, Terry. I know you don't like roses,"
Mhm.
and it got a big laugh, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, okay. I didn't know that story," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's something my mother would do,"
Mhm.
and I was glad to hear that story. But yeah, I people will react in whatever ways. I don't criticize anybody for doing anything that might be awkward.
No, you can't. No, no.
Yeah,
They mean well,
yeah, yeah. So,
all you can do is try to make them comfortable, but then I don't know.
but so are we ready to talk about sautéed broccoli?
You tell me, bro.
I think we uncovered, for me, I think this dish, I saw it, I just wanted something plain, simple. And I just figured it was going to be like broccoli with maybe like some sort of like butter or, some light sauce, right? Sautéed.
Yeah.
And so when I call it in, the woman asks me if I want brown sauce or garlic sauce.
Ooh.
And I just reacted. And of course, I said garlic sauce.
Ugh.
Now I'm thinking, well, wait a second. Did I just order a roundabout way of getting broccoli and garlic sauce? Because that's another item. We did that already. You hated it.
That's what I thought when you said, hey, let's do.
These are separate items on my menu. So I assume it's something different. So when she asked for garlic sauce, I'm like, what happened? Is she confused? So there was confusion. I ended up getting broccoli with garlic sauce and I was very happy with it. But did I miss out on the sautéed broccoli? You got something that looked completely different.
What do you think when they said brown gravy, do you think they meant egg foo young gravy? Couldn't have been.
No, I think it's the goop,
Ugh.
Yeah. So I didn't go with the goop.
Yeah. Well, did you like it? Like you saw the picture of mine. I'm like, I don't even know if it's broccoli. Just number one, it was the most technicolor food I've ever seen. It was like right out of the Ten Commandments, like that super technicolor.
Yeah, very bright.
And I was like, is this pure radiation? And then it's like a KFC bucket worth of broccoli. Who can eat all that? And it was just kind of tasteless and mine didn't have any sauce on it. It was just,
but it was like was there like a butter? Like, I mean, I thought maybe.
Yeah, it had been sauteed. Like I guess there had been a butter you could taste, but there was no sauce or anything.
And people are going to laugh when they see the photo of yours because it's all stalks.
It's all stalks. It's all glowing green.
Yeah. And the long stalks. I mean,
long stalks.
It's like
my new nickname, long stalks. There's no way I thought it was broccoli. But so I had some. It was fine. It was like eating sweat. It's like, all right, tasteless, like eating bright green sweat. But the worst part was I followed your advice, which was the right advice. You might want to get a side item. So I'm like, oh, I'll get sweet and sour chicken. And I've gotten so used to not having to say, can you put the sauce on the side? I didn't think of it. And of course it came drenched in sauce. So that was kind of crappy. So not a great experience with the meal, but it was tasteless enough. I didn't hate it. So
I think I may have
tasteless enough. I didn't hate it. That's a Yelp.
What are you going to give it?
Well, I'll never get it again, but it's like wasn't offensively bad. It's like just, like a 6. I'll go to 6. I'm feeling generous.
Okay.
I'm going 6.3.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I feel weird even rating this because I feel like I had broccoli and garlic sauce again. And which is one of my favorites. And yeah, this is a different place. I mean, it was good. I didn't get. Let me correct myself. I think I said stalks. I think yours was all stems.
Stems. You're right. Yes.
Stems. Yes. Before Jerry corrects me in the comments section.
Yeah. Don't get Jerry riled up this week.
I don't want to get Jerry riled up with these forecasts. I want to try and be accurate for Jerry. You had very little crowns or florets,
which I didn't know. Literally, it's funny we're talking about this because maybe 4 nights ago there's a Wegmans downstairs now. And I was there, and they have broccoli crowns separate.
Really? You
can I didn't know they sold
separate.
Them like that.
Wow. Okay.
And I guess there were stems separate too. I didn't know that's where we were.
Yeah.
Like, let's just who just gets broccoli stem, broccoli stalks. or who just gets the stems.
That's weird. Yeah.
Even I, the laziest man on earth, don't see too much trouble taking a knife and doing a little cut and cutting them in half. But you know, somebody's doing it. So I didn't know that was a thing. And yeah, now I feel like I got all stalks. What if you got all crowns? How perfect would that have been?
Yeah, crowns are great. I didn't know you could. Yeah, you can get them separated like that. Usually, you got a little bit of the stem. You know.
Yeah, I've never seen it separated like that. And I'm guessing, I didn't notice, I'm guessing that once they're separated like that, it's probably twice the cost.
Yeah, all
Like
right.
they'll take half the food
They jack it up. Yeah.
and double it because you feel like you're getting something super special.
I hope they're not throwing these stems out. You know, it's not just like they're going to jack the price up for the crowns.
Those stems are long gone, Mike. They're in the bottom of a garbage can in Washington, D.C. right now. Sorry.
Yeah.
They're not coming back, Mike.
I know. I also want
blah, and I hope I'm not taking it out because the sweet and sour chicken was such a. I don't want to take it out on the poor stupid broccoli, but yeah, 6-3. What's your score?
I'll give it a 5. Like I said, it's confusing. Did I mean, actually, no. I'll give it. No, I'll give it higher. I mean, it was one of my favorite. Yeah, broccoli and garlic sauce is one of my favorites. So I'm going to give it an 8.
Whoa.
Yeah, because that's one of my favorites. But did I even have
you're like a girl at the bar after a couple of beers. Went from a 5 to an 8.
Well, I had to rethink it because, like I said, I don't think I got the dish that I was supposed to. I think I got broccoli and garlic sauce in a roundabout way, even though I started with sautéed. I don't think the person who answered the phone, maybe they get this order so few times that they assume I was wrong.
I was gonna say, it seems like a couple times now you've run into more. I think more you because you hit the same place over and over, so you have a little more of a. There seems to be confusion a lot.
Well, this is my 3rd place since we started. I've been going to this one place because they, like I said, they had the best fried noodles with the soup. They've got the actual homemade rather than those orange things you get everywhere.
Right.
So I've been sticking with this place. And and their egg foo young was amazing. So I figured, you know, everything from this place is kind of on the money and it's close to me. So I've been going to this one lately, but I think this is the one restaurant where the English speakers are limited. You know, there's actually you know, they speak English when they get me on the phone, but very, very heavy accent. So I think the English is maybe limited at this place, which I don't have a problem with. I'm just saying maybe this is more authentic, you know, what I'm getting here. But I think maybe there's been some confusion, you know. Maybe they didn't know sautéed broccoli was even on the menu and just sort of assumed I wanted one with sauce.
What is this?
What's going on?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
If you went there and went item by item down the menu, out of like 300 items, how many do you think they'd be confused about? Like never heard?
That would be a good question to ask all these restaurants.
Yeah, like we love to like do a documentary. We go and sit down and be like, look, we can cut this in half, right?
Yeah, they'll probably tell you that. You know, I'll just ask them, of all the items on this menu, how many do you think people really order? Be interesting to see what they say. You know.
Well, you know, I mean, it's like they say about bartenders. There's 9 million drinks, but people buy the same 6 or whatever.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. I didn't get too fancy at the bars I worked at. I was fortunate in that respect. I didn't have a lot of martini drinkers coming in.
Wow.
And one time, one of my coworkers, he went on the other side of the bar and wanted a martini. I'm like, you know, this is going to be the first martini I've ever made. you walked me through it. I think I did all right.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it was beers and vodka drinks. Pretty much was all I was serving.
Slinging the suds. I can't believe you went up to an 8.
Well, yeah, I mean, I went up to an 8 because, but I felt like I was rating broccoli with garlic sauce. I didn't feel like I got the dish that is on the menu.
But what you actually ate, you would give an 8.0.
Oh yeah, no, it was good. The garlic sauce was great. It was even a little spicy, you know. I ordered some boneless spare ribs on the side. Those were tasty. I didn't eat too much of them because the dish itself was filling.
Mhm.
I had a little bit of that, and I'll get another meal out of the boneless spare ribs tomorrow. So I was content. But I don't know that I got the dish that you got. I think we got two different dishes.
I think this was just somebody dropped a pile of broccoli stems in a bowl and was like, all right, give it to him.
Now, was your item on the menu? Did you see it on the menu?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I know what I meant. You'll love this. Not only was it on the menu, but get inside that pretty little head of yours, the image and the size of that bowl. $17.
$17.
$17 for a bowl of technicolored radioactive green
Broccoli
maybe
stems.
broccoli, and a little thing of white rice.
Wow. How much was the sweet and sour chicken?
The sweet and sour chicken was 15.
Are you kidding me?
But I don't understand how that worked either.
Oh my God. My whole thing, the two items I got was less than 15.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
got
usually
ripped. You got ripped off. What
I
happened
got
here?
ripped off to the point where, you know me, usually I'm blasé, like whatever. But when I saw that now, I was like, I can't wait to tell Mike that. I said, Mike's gonna like this.
No, I don't like you getting ripped off.
I mean, like hearing about me complaining about it.
Oh.
I
This
was
isn't
number one,
DC.
it's absurd.
This is
Either one
DC.
of them is 15, much less 17.
No.
And how was the broccoli the one that cost more?
No, that's do you still have the receipt?
Well, it's on my phone. I mean, you don't believe me? You want me to send
No,
it to you?
no. I'm saying I would
You
go
think there might
back
have
to
been a
them
computer
saying
error?
I would complain.
Let me see.
I mean, you got ripped off.
Give me 1 second. Let me do a little tap dancing for our audience here, Mike, while I look this up.
You spent over $30.
$33 before tip.
$33 on sweet and sour chicken and sautéed broccoli.
Yeah.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah. $33.90 for the two of them. And like I said, usually I like to make fun of you for even noticing the price because, you know, whether it's total of 15 or 20, I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
This jumped out at me.
Oh, yeah. Because you got ripped off. Have you been to this place before? Is this a new joint?
I don't know. I lose track. And
This is a fancy place in DC?
I didn't think it was fancy. It's called, can I take a second and think in your head what the cheapest Chinese sounding restaurant would be? Okay, give yourself a second, then don't say it out loud. Okay. Now, what kind of a name would you think would be the cheapest? Where you look at it and you go, oh, well, this is cheap. This is like, you know, what do you think a name would be?
House of Rice.
Chinatown Express.
Okay. All right.
Chinatown Express.
Okay,
Does that
so
sound like I'm going to go sit with David Chang at a nice fancy red tablecloth with a violin playing? Or does it sound like I'm going to go dig something out of the garbage and give it to you?
You're playing off the Panda Express, I guess.
And yeah, sauteed broccoli, $17. And gee, Greg, did that come with a huge fried rice and an egg roll? And nope, small white rice.
So so technically, I would say you got the small version of it. There must be a larger because I had the option small or large, and I went with small. That was $7.
No, there's just one size.
You got ripped off, man.
I mean, you could say it's an absurd amount of broccoli stems because who eats that much broccoli stems? But then the sweet and sour chicken was tiny. Yeah, I got. This is the first time I feel I I don't want to call it ripped off because I mean I saw the price,
Hmm.
you know, it wasn't a secret, but I don't feel good about it.
No, I wouldn't feel good about it. Like I said, I got 2 items and it was less than 15 bucks.
And I have to say this, for the first time in my egg foo what career, I am crossing a restaurant off the list. Sorry, Chinatown Express.
Yeah.
You're listening to this, and I know you are. Bye-bye.
You had this delivered rather than picking it up yourself?
Of course, Mike. I mean, come on now.
But I'm
I'm not
saying
desperate.
I would go back and show them these items, or even like go back to check one of their menus to see,
Well,
is this like some anomaly that's online? Is there some sort of, they've got the wrong prices online compared to what's on the menu?
well, to your point, I would like to go there now. Because maybe it is like the most ironically named, maybe it is like a palace, beautiful. It just has a shitty name that leads you to believe it's going to be, you know, catch up, and that's it.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I should go stick my nose in there and see what's happening.
I think
Very
so.
disappointed. The first time I've ever crossed one off, I don't even remember or care where we got that chow mein from. I didn't even think to cross them off the list.
No.
Chinatown Express, see you.
Yeah, no. I would go back. That's worth investigating and standing up for the American consumer.
Well, let's not turn it into a thing. I mean,
I want you to go all John Stossel on this one.
Well, know thyself. I'm gonna, it's gonna be myth for a while until I run out of steam and just, you know, and then kind of forget to go back to it. But very disappointing, but you know, good to be back in the swing of things anyway, I guess. But I do have a little news on the news front, if you
Okay.
like. A little bit of movement on the real softball team reunion front.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
I made some folks aware that we're looking to get something cooking.
Hmm.
And in order to actually give that something a chance to actually happen, I somewhat put it in the hands of some ladies who are actually good at making things happen instead of just sitting around talking about it like me. So it's at that stage, still the primary initial stage, but much better that it's out of my hands. So
well, that would be something worth. Yeah, I think that would be a good thing to pursue.
now people are going to have to decide if they want to make it all about the 20th anniversary Real to Real or the 25th anniversary of my arriving in Brooklyn. That's up to you guys. Doesn't have to all be about me. But I'm happy to report there is movement on this front.
Okay.
And as we push along, I'll keep you posted.
Okay, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I also want to thank you for reaching out to me after the tornadoes touched down this Saturday. Checking on
that's where my fruit basket went. Oh damn! Well, I forgot about the tornadoes, Mike. That's where the basket went.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. No, a tornado blew through Saturday night through Howell. Was one of the places that touched down.
And I didn't check in.
You didn't check in.
Boy, this is really stick it to Greggy week. Okay, I can take it. I can take it. I deserve it.
Yeah, but I do. I'm going to give you some little advice that maybe, and this can go, the audience can then look into this themselves. So yeah, I get 2 tornado alerts Saturday night.
Now, do tornadoes happen a lot there?
No, not at all.
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't think so.
This was a freaky incident yeah. I mean, I think it has happened before, but not in recent memory, and not as sort of right in this area, you know? So yeah, I get 2 tornado alerts on my phone. I'm like, oh, okay. I was just sitting down in bottom floor, so I was in the right area. I did not put myself in a bathroom, which is what they advise, right? Go to a bathroom.
Bathtub, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the thing, bathtub? Is that
I don't have a bathtub.
Yeah.
I only have a shower. But anyway, so I was downstairs. I figured, hey, if the roof goes blowing off, at least I'm covered down here. And they said, you know, to 8 o'clock, you know, it started going off at like 7:15. and they said it should be over by 8 o'clock. And there was some freaky noise going on. There was hail going, some weird winds whipping. And then, I'm hearing this really weird sound. They talk about how it sounds like a train. I was hearing some bizarre sound I never heard of before. And I'm like, what the hell is that? But
What
then
did
it
it
was
sound like?
over.
Was
Then it,
wind whooshing?
whooshing.
Whoosh.
Yeah, I would say there was some whooshing. It was
What was it going? Michael, can you
I want
believe
to
Greg didn't?
kill you.
Can you believe Greg didn't send a fruit basket? That rat bastard.
So
Was that were you legit scared, or were
you know
you?
what? I didn't really take it as seriously as I
Right.
should have,
Well, I gotta be honest.
because it doesn't
It
happen
would
that
be hard to
often.
take it. I'm not saying I'd taunt it, but it would be a weird thing to take seriously when you're not
Yeah,
used to it.
yeah. So I think well, it gets worse.
Oh boy.
So this thing, gets quiet. It gets quiet. It's raining outside. I'm like, okay, well, the worst is over. So I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go have a few beers at my local place to watch
That's how they get you, Mike.
the second
That's how they
second
get you.
basketball game, right? The San Diego game. That was a great game.
Yeah.
So I go up. I'm driving up there, and I'm like, oh, the traffic lights are out. That's not a good sign.
Yikes. Lawlessness is now ruling.
I get to my place, pitch black. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like going home. I'm seeing houses, the power outages, happening near the Ivy League. And then, then I'm seeing houses with lights on. So it was like spotty. There were power outages around town. So I'm driving home, and I'm like, well, I'm still hungry. I didn't eat all day.
There you go.
Where could I go next?
You don't want to get swept off with a tornado with an empty stomach.
No. So where could I go next? I mean, I'm seeing some debris in the streets, nothing crazy. No, I did see look like somebody's laundry basket in the middle of the road.
I might have been there before. I mean, come on, this is Jersey.
It could have been, yeah.
Let's be honest. All of us. This is the first time strange things are happening in Jersey.
So I was going to go to a Longhorn Steakhouse. They have a little bar. They got the TVs there. I'm like, oh, I could go there.
Right.
So it's in a little mall, and I pull into the service road of this mall. There's a tree down across the road. I'm like, okay, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
So I leave there, but I'm still determined to get something to eat. So now it's about 10 to 10. I'm like, I'm going to try my Red Moon Pizzeria, my local establishment, good pizza. So I go there. They're still open. They still have power. But all the sliced pizzas have been removed. They're like in the shelves. They've taken them from sight, try to discourage people.
I thought you meant because they thought they would be like deadly projectiles, like
So
laser discs of pizza slicing through throats.
So I asked for some slices, and sure enough, they produced a pie with the works on it. I'm like, oh, give me 2 of those. Give me 2 of the plains. And so he's putting in one of the works slices, and it's falling off. It's too top heavy. Some of those slices,
Yep.
So he's apologizing. And guess what? He felt so bad about it.
Freebie?
Because, well, they were going to throw out other slices. It's 10 minutes before closing. So he just gives me, 2 more work slices.
Nice.
For free. It's like I was just going to throw them out anyway. So I'm sending this out there to everybody. Check out your local pizza joint about 10 minutes before closing time. You might be able to get some free slices. You're just going to throw them out anyway.
I mean, I do feel like you're trying to stick it to me, knowing how I'm burning at getting the $17 broccoli, and you're just getting free pizza thrown at you. I feel like you're doing this screwed. You're really sticking it to me. That's all right.
Maybe it was Tornado Pizza. They
Yeah.
felt sorry for me. I'm driving around,
Mhm.
probably, like the Omega Man. I'm the only the only man alive,
Yeah.
the only
Getting a
fool
slice.
driving around after a tornado. And then yeah, the next morning I'm seeing all these reports of telephone wires down.
Yeah.
One house had its roof blown off a couple miles away, not far away at all. So
Those things are crazy because I mean, there's news. Those things are crazy. There's I've never seen one or been near one, but a couple of years ago, one came through Leesburg, and there's still, you're right along highway. There's this row of trees, and it's not like it just knocked a couple down and just kind of haphazard. It looks like somebody took shears and just sheared a straight edge along these trees, like perfect. That's how intense it
wow,
was.
they just
Like
were all down.
they were just like somebody sheared the trees weren't down. The
Oh,
thing came, it's like the thing came through and like perfectly buzzsawed all the branches in just a straight line down the road.
oh, really? Wow. Okay.
It's like somebody had crafted it. So
Uh-huh.
very strange, very crazy,
Hmm.
these tornadoes these days. So.
Uh-huh. So that was an interesting night. Um, I've got one Easter related food in the news. I don't know if you saw this story.
Ooh,
Cadbury cream eggs.
ugh.
Not a fan. Okay. Well, wait until you hear this one.
Well,
They've joined forces with Subway.
that's a win-win.
They're putting melted Cadbury cream eggs on Italian white bread in Subway. This is
Hmm.
happening in the UK, not here. So so
Really?
much for the UK being a little more intelligent
Yeah.
than the US.
Yeah, like I'm not a Cadbury or chocolate expert, but I do feel like Europeans keep their beaks up in the air when it comes to their chocolate versus our chocolate.
Uh-huh.
And for them to just start spreading it all over Subway,
Oh,
nothing makes sense anymore.
only 500 special sandwiches will be made.
Oh, it's like a Willy Wonka thing.
I don't know what it. I mean, I saw this and I was just so disgusted. But yeah,
That's terrible.
okay.
Well, they think it's such a big deal. 500 people are gonna like sleep overnight to get.
I don't know. I
Jesus.
don't know where the thinking is in this at all. I don't see any thinking being done at all. I mean, the general reaction was disgust. Um,
I mean, first Brexit, now this. Those people are losing their minds. The Queen. I
well,
mean, ever since the Queen. I mean, she wouldn't have let this happen.
uh-huh. While we're on the subject of Easter, is there any Easter candy that you'll be around this weekend or?
Uh, uh, I mean, like my nephew, he's a teenager. He doesn't really care about that stuff, candy. And nobody cares less about Easter or Easter candy than me.
Really?
Uh,
Okay, that's a surprise.
yeah. Thank you. That's nice of you to say. Uh, yeah, I mean, I'm
Jelly
sure at
beans,
some point,
nothing.
I mean, I'm sure at some point I'll find a big bunny to gnaw on or something. Like, I don't care, but yeah, Easter. I don't like Easter. I don't like Easter food. Uh, I like chocolate, fine, but yeah, I'm not digging around for jelly beans or
You
anything.
don't like
So
a ham?
I'll eat ham, but it's not my number one. Plus, I feel like Easter hams are more northern in that the one thing I do prefer southern is my ham. I like it bone dry, just pure salt, which I don't
Pure
think,
salt,
yeah, like pure
like a
Virginia,
salt
like
lick. You
salt
just
lick,
want a salt lick.
like a Virginia ham, and it's cut and it's like a shoe tongue. Uh, and I feel like Easter hams are like they're moist and boiled and no interest, no thank you.
What about what's the spiral ham? Ever have a good spiral ham?
Yeah, cutting it different doesn't make it better.
No, I've had a spiral
I
ham.
have had one of those. Yeah, yeah.
I had one. I think my brother ordered it from Arkansas or someplace down south.
The ham capital of the South.
and it was phenomenal. Ham is hit or miss with me. Yeah, it wasn't one of my faves growing up because
Yeah.
it
Well,
was a lot.
it's just fine. Like
Uh-huh.
I've never ordered it at a restaurant. I never think of it. But yeah, if it's plopped in front of me, this is what you're eating. Fine, you know. I'll have it on a sub occasionally, but I don't. That's not even real ham. Let's be
Uh-huh.
honest. Yeah, a ham. I've never been in love with ham, so
No.
that immediately puts Easter behind the other holidays.
No jelly beans, no?
No, I'm not a
No.
child. Or President Reagan, so no.
Wow.
Do you like jelly beans?
I like them. Yeah. I mean, I don't go out of my way to get them, but if they're around during Easter,
Mhm.
well, some are better than others, you know. I mean, some of them are just like globs of sugar, you
Yeah.
know, the big fat ones, the cheap ones. But there was a good candy place in Bayonne
Mhm.
that would go all out for Easter. They had great stuff. And they had so many, I guess you'd call them gourmet jelly beans.
Oh,
Because
excuse me. Excuse me.
yeah, they had different flavors, some
They
spicy.
probably sell those at my Chinatown Express.
Some people don't like the spicy jelly beans, which yeah, I'm not a big fan of those.
I don't think
I
I've
do
ever
kind
had
of like
spicy.
this, prefer the straight up flavor.
Yeah, I don't like jelly. Like I don't like anything gummy bear. So
Yeah,
yeah.
well, yeah. Normally, like I said, I don't go out of my way for that stuff, but if it's laying
Well,
around
what's
during
your Easter
Easter,
dinner? What was the typical Easter dinner you growing up? The ham? Is that the number one?
yeah, I guess we would have ham, but actually Easter was literally we didn't go out to dinner very often.
Right.
You know, 5 kids, you know, it's kind of a major production.
Mhm.
But we went out for dinner usually every Easter. When we and a lot of times we would go to a diner. You
Yeah.
know, that was exciting to us, you know. And then we would go to like Asbury Park, you know, and usually they were open, the boardwalk, and you can get on a few rides.
For Easter, you'd go
For
to.
Easter, yeah, yeah,
Wow.
and we would get dressed up. Did you get dressed
Yeah.
up?
Of course.
Oh, okay, yeah. No,
My light
there's
brown
yeah,
polyester suit, clip-on tie,
yeah,
guaranteed not to burst into flames for a couple of minutes.
yeah. No, I've got those classic photos, you know, with the striped, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
you know I lived through the leisure suit period.
Well, I
So
cannot say the same.
so I had those collars spreading out across my shoulders.
Ruffled collar, ruffles in the front.
Never got a ruffled shirt. You know, they were around. That was too much for me. But I do remember a leisure suit one year. Yeah, and it was a big deal. We'd have to get our Easter outfits ready. Of course, you know, we'd go to church and it was the whole big thing. But that was our big night out, eating out.
But you would go to the boardwalk and get to go on rides and everything on Easter Sunday?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, no wonder you have a much different perspective of Christmas of Easter than me.
Hmm.
It was just all week of church, super serious church,
Yeah.
and a crappy ham,
Uh,
and then that's it.
yeah, no, we had the super serious church too. I mean, and sometimes we'd get the
Mhm.
full Holy Thursday,
Yeah,
Good Friday.
yeah.
I think
Then why not
sometimes
Saturday?
we'd skip Saturday and you know, and of course, you know, you've got those long gospel readings. Oh yeah, it was heavy.
But why are the other holidays we do turkey, but for Easter, when it's Jesus Day, it's ham.
Yeah, no.
That to me seems a grosser. Not that turkey's better looking than the pig, but the pure meat itself seems grosser, a little more in your face, like a big fatty red meat. I don't know why that became
Yeah.
the Easter thing. Is it because Easter can't be chicken, can't be in the bird family because we're sitting around having kids chase eggs around? And then we don't want to have to, oh, thanks for picking all the eggs. And
Uh-huh.
then an hour later, they're sitting down looking at a bird they got to eat. We don't want to make that connection. That's why we switched to ham.
Uh-huh. I think we're gonna have to do some research on this one.
I think I just did it. I think that's it.
You
I think we
figured it
cracked
out.
it.
You
We don't
figured
want to
it
freak.
out in real time.
You can't have kids walking around look for eggs and then, hey, thanks, Johnny. Now here's bird meat to eat. I think we cracked it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to look into it though, just to confirm.
Well, if you want to, but I feel pretty good about that. I feel pretty good about my
You feel
research.
confident?
I feel pretty confident. I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
Are you doing anything for Easter special or?
I think we're going to go out, try and keep that going. We'll just go to some local place.
Yeah.
After
some
my
of
mother
least
passed
favorite
away, it
holidays.
was kind of the holidays. My mother was the main coordinator of the holidays in my family.
Of course, yeah.
So we're just freelancing, we're winging it.
Yeah.
Now my father's not with us, so it's just down to the three of us. And I mean, I wouldn't even mind if we, hey, you go your way, I'll go mine.
Yeah, I am
You know?
telling you, one of the best Christmases it was when we just said fuck it and we went to a Chinese restaurant.
Mhm.
No, the stress levels dropped to zero.
I mean, one Easter I did work at the bar in Bayonne,
Mhm.
and it was a weird day because I opened, on Sunday you have to wait. We couldn't open up at 6 a.m., so we had to wait until 9 a.m.
How'd you do it?
I don't know how they did it. Yeah, 3 hours longer. They got to wait. And so I opened at 9, full bar. They're getting liquored up before
Yeah.
church,
Yeah.
which is just blasphemous.
Eh.
But this is Bayonne style.
Bayonne style, bro.
Then they all go to church. They go home. They have their Easter dinner. And then what else? Then they start trickling back.
Yeah.
And then by like 5 o'clock, full bar again. So it was a pretty.
That's an Easter schedule I could get behind. Hit the bar at 9. Sleep through church. Eat. Probably take another nap. Meet up again with the crew.
Yeah.
That's about as good at Easter as I can picture.
I was thinking of reliving it. Yeah, myself. If I was cut free from my brother and sister, I can probably arrange something like that.
Are you hoping they'll hear this and get the hint?
No, I don't think they're
You can act
listeners.
like no. What and then okay, I guess
Yeah, I don't think they're listening.
Yeah, everybody just go out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus Easter starts with 2 strikes against it for me because it's the spring. I hate the spring. I know summer's coming. It's going to be 1,000 degrees. So that doesn't help Easter either, if I'm being honest. Sorry, Easter, but
I can't believe you hate the spring.
It's disgusting.
I mean, we lucked out this winter, like no snow at all up here. I mean, it was fantastic. And now it's getting warmer.
It's already 80 degrees.
And I'm
First of all,
going to
there is
start
no
getting
spring.
out.
First of all, there is no the spring everybody romanticizes. We're all just going outside spinning in circles and dancing, and it's 71 degrees and no humidity. It's immediate. It went from 39 degrees the other day to 80, and it's only going to get worse. That was spring. It was like 11 to 11:15.
Yeah, I know sometimes you get shortchanged on spring, but I don't know. I'm just happy when it starts getting warmer.
And then summer, yeah, that's miserable.
Well, summer is, yeah, I mean, that could be nasty, but at least there's no snow around.
I like the snow. Hey,
did you at least get a fortune cookie with your ripped off?
I was gonna say, if I had one nice thing to say about China Express, can you hear this crinkle? Maybe that's why it was, $17 for a celery stalk. This is my first fortune in. I can't remember the last time I got one.
Wow, you're not going to believe my fortune.
Uh-oh.
They're quoting country songs now.
You have friends in low places?
No, not that one.
Chinese fortune cookies reciting country songs, I gotta say, does sound interesting to me.
Dance like no one is watching.
Well, if I'm dancing, I already know nobody's watching. Is that from a song? I always thought that was just a saying, like dance like nobody was a saying.
Yeah, but I think it was used in a song too. Yeah, it became a popular saying, and I think somebody put it in a song. Yeah, I may be wrong, but yeah, I mean it's a recent cliche, right?
Oh, Mike. I think I have in my hands what may be an actual fortune,
Okay.
not just something that can be filed once again under dumb shit. Well, wow, I gotta be honest, this is bringing wow. A gathering of friends brings you lots of luck this evening.
Hmm.
It's not even hedging. It doesn't say may bring you luck. Hopefully will bring you a little luck. It says brings you lots of luck this evening.
Well, that, you
I
know,
would
it's
say,
kind of it's you don't have much time.
no, it's not even like in the future. Maybe perhaps something
It's
good
tonight.
might happen to
Is there a
you.
lottery drawing tonight? You better get out there and get the lottery.
Boy, you're right. I think tonight's Powerball.
Is it? All right.
Boy, I gotta be
8 o'clock.
honest. I spend weeks crapping all over those people, these for not having real fortunes. The second I'm looking at one, I gotta be honest, I'm freaking out a bit. This is weird. I do not like this.
What time did they stop selling the Powerball?
I don't know. Well, plus in Virginia, you can't do it online anyway. So unless this gathering of friends is to present me with Powerball tickets, that's gonna win me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't like this. Should I just stay in this in that?
No, you got to do something. It's telling you tonight or never.
Wow, they put they put lots in there. They put a definitive time in there.
Yeah.
Maybe I will play these lucky numbers. 15, 38, 54, 1, 49, 4. Boy, that's not even sequential order. They took the time to, no wonder I'm paying $17 for broccoli. I might have to take Chinatown Express off the bench.
Uh-huh.
Wow, I'm sorry, Chinatown Express. All right, well, I guess I'll see what happens this evening with my gathering of friends. Let me tell you, if I walk in a room, there's a gathering of my friends, I'm walking right back out because there's no way that's good.
Yeah. Bad news. Intervention.
Yeah, it's got it. Why else is our friends gathering for me? Come on now.
Uh-huh.
All right, well, that's got me shook. Great. Pay $33 to be shook.
Uh-huh.
Feels good to have a fortune cookie anyway after all these months.
We'll have to get the update next week.
Yeesh. There is a
I want to thank everybody for listening. Hit that subscribe button. Our numbers, we're approaching 200 subscribers.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
On YouTube.
Yeah.
But more are listening on other platforms.
Cool.
And we all appreciate that. And
yeah. 200 sounds like a lot to me. That's great.
It is.
Yeah, thanks everybody for listening. And yeah, we'll be back at it. I'll let you know what happens with this. Lots of luck in the evening.
Bye-bye.